The other three types, which are part of the fixed annuity world, zero fees unless you have optional bells and whistles that you want to put on there, which normally we don't recommend, but zero fees. So annuities are bad. I don't know why. The word annuity means tax deferred. So if we're talking IRAs, IRAs are tax deferred no matter what vehicle they're in. So there's nothing wrong with being tax deferred, obviously. And the different types of annuities do different things. I mean, a standard fixed annuity is like a tax deferred bank CD. Nobody's doing bank CDs right now. We're not doing a lot of fixed annuities because interest rates are so low. But there's nothing to not like about an interest rate if it's a decent interest rate. CDs can be 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, whatever. You can buy fixed annuities of various type lengths. So there's nothing to not like about that world. And when we get into my specialty, the equity index annuity world, again, I don't think there's anything to not like about these because they're just simple to understand and they keep your money safe and there's zero fees coming out the bottom, zero risk, zero fees. And when we talk about the performance in the next half hour, I'm going to give you some numbers. And good grief, I sent out charts showing one of my company's 22 years of history now, where the vast majority of those years our product was ahead of the S&P 500, and not because necessarily we're growing at a better rate, because the market, you can have 25% here and it's hard to touch that with anything, but then you can give that back, and we often do a lot of times. We stayed ahead of I call it the green line, red line chart, and I sent it out in my book, but we stayed ahead of the red line the vast majority of that 22 years or over 2 decades.
This is the exact same conversation that you can have with the time. Want to get the book? 855-317-2346. 855-317-2346. We're doing some myth busting. Gotta love those guys. About your retirement years here on Dollars and Cents Radio. I hope you're going to stay with us. I know you will. 855-317-2346. Back in just a few with a lot more good advice for you here on Dollars and Cents Radio. Stay right here.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite born Bill. Get the cow or no nut. Okay, so the only line I see here is get options based on your budget with the name and price tool from Progressive. Oh man, it's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus. The name and price tool, only from Progressive. The hour and about what the coin goes cuts me. Residents teacher technical express and international level state law. This is a call to arms. And we mean literally your arms. Because that's where the COVID vaccine needs to go. We need the toned, the tatted, and even the kind of hairy arms. We need grandma arms, veteran arms, and bored teenager arms too. If you haven't gotten the vaccine yet, please roll up that sleeve and do your part. And let's get back to doing all the things we love again. Don't wait. Vaccinate. Brought to you by the Veterans Coalition for Vaccination. This is News Radio 1080 KRLD, the station North Texas counts on for news, traffic, and weather. Your news now. At 5:31, the temperature is 99 degrees. The heat index is 105. Good evening, I'm Bill Wilson with 1080 KRLD News. An administrative court judge has ordered that anyone entering a Dallas County courthouse must be wearing a mask in order to be admitted.
The order by Administrative District Judge Maricela Moore requires masks to be worn in the common areas of the George Allen Courthouse, the Frank Crowley Courthouse, and the Henry Wade Building. Those refusing could be barred from entering the buildings. The order comes after Governor Greg Abbott repeated his order banning any mask mandates by any state, county, or local government entity. The judge's order cites as its authority a Texas Supreme Court order that confirms the judiciary's authority to take responsible actions to avoid exposing court proceedings and participants to the threat of COVID-19. The order is effective starting Monday. Jim Bartow, News Radio 1080 KRLD.
6 people died and 4 people were injured Friday night in 4 separate crashes in Dallas County. A motorcycle was speeding in DeSoto and crashed into a car that was turning into Mockingbird Lane. The 34-year-old motorcyclist died at the scene. Shortly after midnight, 2 vehicles were apparently racing and speeding, of course. They collided. One of those vehicles went airbound and wound up landing into a building. The 3 occupants of that vehicle were pronounced dead at the scene. The second vehicle crashed into two telephone poles, and the two people in that vehicle were taken to the hospital, and they are in stable condition. Then about 1:20 this morning, the driver of a Dodge sedan driving the wrong way on Singleton Boulevard crashed head-on into a Toyota Tundra. The driver of the sedan died. The driver of the Tundra was hospitalized in stable condition. And then about 30 minutes later, an SUV struck a vehicle that had been abandoned on the shoulder of I-30. One man died, and a woman is now in the hospital in stable condition. KRLD traffic and weather together. And from the traffic center, let's go to Michelle LeCounte.
In Duncanville, westbound 20 at Hampton Road, a wreck's going to be taking away the right lane with delays back to I-35E. Grass fire in Mansfield is causing problems on northbound 287 at Walnut Creek. This is going to be blocking that left lane with slowdowns from, also slowdowns on 280, southbound 287. Due to onlookers, and Alvarado still fighting that car fire northbound 35W at CR 204 is blocking that right lane. I'm Michelle McConnell, on your 24-hour traffic leader.
And from the Weather Center, it's 99 degrees. I'm Bill Brooks in the KRLD News Center.
This is a pre-recorded program paid for by Aspen Financial. So I promised that if you stayed through the break at the bottom of the hour, coming back would be a worthwhile experience. Well, I'll guarantee you it is. Dollars and Cents Radio with Doug Horn and 855-317-2346. Have you called for that free Dollars and Cents retirement book yet? You really need to. 855-317-2346. 855-317-2346. In your early years, you used to dream about retirement. Now it is time to get busy. How your dreams might become a reality. $3 and cents retirement book is just a phone call away, and it is a great first step to connect with Dollars and Cents Radio, to engage in a conversation, a personal conversation with Doug. Yep, that's true. 855-317-2346. Make the call now, but don't go too far from your radio, because we're talking about annuities. Annuities are well, let's put it this way. If you don't know about annuities, you probably Googled it. You probably found some things that you may like, you may not like, but frankly, you're probably still confused about what they are. So in this next half hour, we're going to take you through a few things. We already talked about the misnomer or the myth that annuities are bad, and Doug talked about that before the break. Let's talk about another option for annuities. Other options can do what annuities do just as well. That is our myth, second myth here. That's not true. Well, no, that's an overgeneralization. And you'd have to define what type of annuities. We've already discussed variable annuities. We don't like. They're very expensive. You can accomplish the same thing with mutual funds in the market at a much cheaper price. But as far as the fixed annuity world, other things can do just as well. If you're talking about a fixed annuity that just pays an interest rate, usually they're always ahead of CD rates, so that's the only thing to compare there. Immediate annuities are the payout annuity, and nothing else does that. Oh goodness, and the equity index annuity is the only place that we know that you can get safety. You can be attached to the markets, but not in the markets, meaning you can participate in the gains, but not have to worry about the losses. And don't know anything else out there that can accomplish that other than being really, really good at market timing and just getting in and out of the market. But even the pros can't do that, so don't try that at home. Okay. That was the disclaimer. Don't try this at home, folks. Okay? Okay, there we go. It is basically one of the main benefits, as Doug has mentioned before, of many index annuity programs is the ability to guarantee no loss of principal on the original investment amount. That's correct. And even beyond that, and even better than that, the products we use every year on your anniversary date, if you've had a gain, that's your new principal amount. So it's not just what you started with, say $100 is, what are we using this for? What do we want? If you want safety of principal, if you want no fees coming out the bottom, no risk at all, but still the ability to keep up with the markets over time, what's bad about that?
There is nothing bad about that.
Right.
855-317-2346 for your free dollars and cents retirement. Hope you're getting something out of the program today. I really, really, really hope that our conversation with Doug here is resonating with you as it relates to your retirement. Savings that last as long as you do. What a great idea. And a statement as well. What a great opportunity if you can make that happen. And the good news is, yeah, we can. You can, right?
We can do that.
Through Dollars and Cents Radio, and this is one way to find out more about that by calling for your free Dollars and Cents retirement book, 855-317-2346. Here's another one for you, Doug. Annuity index returns are not attractive. It says like almost every financial strategy offered, it depends entirely upon what they're being compared to.
Well, let's just look at, I've got a product that I use consistently, and what I mean by that is when one company has better returns or better rates or better caps, the internal workings, we tend to, go with the best product until somebody comes along and offers an improved one, and then we'll take a look at that and start using that more. Returns on the company I'm using for our growth product right now, zero fee, zero risk, and I like the fact that the Department of Insurance makes it uniform between all companies. Somewhere in the illustration, it has to show what is this product average in the last 10 years.
Wow.
On the same page, it has to show what was the worst 10-year average out of the last 20 years. And then right next to that, it's going to also show what is the best 10-year average out of the last 20 years. And right now, those numbers, and it's a rolling 10 years, so every few months they'll update that. But right now it's illustrating that we've done in this particular product 7.82%, average for the last 10 years. The low is only down to 6.15. That's
wow.
the worst 10 out of the last 20. And then the best 10 of the last 20 is up to 9.17. So somewhere between that 6.15 and 9.17, and those numbers will change and do change, but that's where we're at right now. But somewhere between there, I think it's reasonable to expect maybe the next 20 years would be the same, because those numbers include, all the good and bad times of the last 20 years, if you think about that. And we've still managed those kind of numbers. And if you have those kind of numbers and there's zero fees, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but if there's zero fees coming out, I call those, especially the most recent and the best 10, I call those market returns, because there's no fees dripping out the bottom. The brokerage account world, I often call those 2% accounts. It seems like the going rate out there in general is about 1.25%. It seemed like it was 1% forever, and that's what companies charge to manage your money. Now it seems to be up to 1.25%. Companies that use a lot of mutual funds, they've got their own fees, and so I just round that 1.25% up to 2%, and that's why I call them 2% accounts. But if you're having a great year like we just did, and you think, oh, well, 2%, I don't care, look how much money I made. But I tell people, look back 10 years, or more importantly, look forward 10 years. 2% times 10 years, that's 1/5 or 20% of your average account balance is going to go to the house and or the mutual funds, over the next decade, before you start seeing a return on your money. Because they get theirs no matter good year or bad year. And that's just very expensive, and that's why I talk so badly about fees. So the product we're dealing with and getting those kind of numbers with zero fees, zero risk, totally attractive to me.
Oh yeah, and should be attractive to you as well as you're listening to this program. It's Dollars and Cents Radio. Maybe you're a brand new listener. Maybe Uncle Ed is listening over the next community here, and you're